Boss called me to his office with human resources. Mark, after 17 years, we're eliminating your position, he announced coldly. Clean out your desk by end of day. I nodded politely and said, I understand completely. They had no idea how Wednesday would be fun. If you've ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted, or if life has ever tested your kindness, this story is for you. Then follow up with, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and let's dive in. Mark, after 17 years, we're eliminating your position, my boss said, not even flinching. His voice was flat, cold. I looked at him, then at the HR lady sitting beside him, like she'd been waiting to see me fall. Clean out your desk by the end of the day. I nodded slowly, offering a polite smile. I understand completely. But they had no idea. No idea that this moment, this betrayal, would set something in motion they could never undo. I walked out of that office with my head held high, but inside everything was shaking. 17 years. I gave them everything. Late nights, missed birthdays. My marriage almost collapsed because of this job. And now, tossed out like garbage. No severance, no explanation. Just a cold goodbye and a security escort waiting near my desk. I kept my calm. Not because I wasn't angry, because I was furious. But I had something better than rage. I had a plan. And this plan started not from scratch, but from a secret I'd been keeping for months. Back at my desk, I picked up my family photo. My daughter, Emma, 16, the light of my life, and my wife, Clara. Though lately, things between us hadn't been the same. Her phone always on silent, her late-night yoga classes, and that new gym buddy she couldn't stop mentioning, Jared, always Jared. I tucked the photo into a box and opened the bottom drawer. That's where the real treasure lay. Copies of confidential files. Nothing illegal, but let's just say things that would burn this company to the ground if they ever saw daylight. I glanced up. My coworker Alicia walked by. She was always nice to me, even brought me coffee on rough days. She stopped, her eyes filled with guilt. I'm so sorry, Mark, she whispered. I didn't know. It's okay, I said calmly. This is just the beginning. I didn't tell her that I already knew she'd overheard something in the break room 2 days ago about a new VP replacing me, a man named Jared. Yes, that Jared, Clara's gym buddy, my wife's friend. He was younger, fresher, more aligned with the company's future, they said. But it wasn't just about the job. It was personal. He had taken more than just my position. He had taken everything. I left the building without looking back, but I made one stop before going home, to a storage unit I'd been renting under a fake name. Inside were boxes of documents, voice recordings, and backups of everything that mattered. For months, I had been collecting every shady move this company made, every lie Jared had whispered in boardrooms, and maybe even a few secrets Clara wouldn't want exposed. I stood there in the dim light, breathing slowly. They thought they ended my story. But the truth, it had just begun. The house was quiet when I got home. Too quiet. Clara's car was in the driveway, but she wasn't in the living room or kitchen. I heard the shower running upstairs. I didn't call out to her. Instead, I sat on the couch, leaned back, and closed my eyes. Images ran through my mind. Jared's smug face at the company holiday party, laughing with Clara as if I didn't exist. The way she had pulled away from my touch lately, her smile reserved for her phone screen more than for me. I hadn't wanted to believe it, but now it all made sense. The water stopped. I heard footsteps, then Clara's soft humming as she moved around the room. I waited until she came down, towel drying her hair, and froze when she saw me. You're home early, she said, pretending to sound surprised, but there was a flicker of panic in her eyes. I got laid off, I said casually, watching her face closely. Position eliminated. Her lips parted, but she didn't speak right away. Oh, Mark, I'm so sorry. That's terrible. Is it? I asked, standing slowly. I mean, these things happen, right? She nodded quickly. Yeah, of course. I mean, companies are cutting costs. I cut her off. They replaced me with Jared. And there it was. The flicker again. A sharp inhale she tried to hide. Her eyes widened just a bit too much before she forced her face neutral. I didn't know that, she said. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. You know, for someone who talks about him a lot, you sure act like you barely know him now. Don't do this, Mark. Not today. Oh, Clara, today is exactly the day we do this. She opened her mouth, but before she could speak, her phone buzzed. She hesitated, then reached for it and quickly turned it face down. But I'd already seen the preview. Jared, did he find out? She saw the look on my face and froze. You're sleeping with him? I said flatly. She didn't deny it. It just happened, she whispered. I laughed bitterly. Right. Just like that job he got. Just like the coincidence of him showing up in our lives. Just happened. I turned away from her, my blood boiling. But I wasn't going to scream. Not now. I needed her to keep talking. You don't understand, Mark, she said, suddenly emotional. You were never home. You were always working. I felt alone for years. And instead of telling me, you found comfort in a guy half my age, who also happened to be gunning for my job. I didn't plan for it to go this far. But it did, Clara. It went far enough that the two of you took my career and turned our marriage into a joke. She wiped her eyes, and for a moment, I saw the guilt hit her like a wave. But I couldn't trust it. Not anymore. I don't want to fight, she whispered. Let's just take a breath. Figure things out. I looked at her, my voice calm. I already have. I pulled out a small envelope from my jacket pocket and tossed it onto the table. What's this? Evidence, I said simply. Emails, messages, screenshots, company policies that Jared violated, conflicts of interest, proof of your affair. Her face went pale. You didn't think I'd go down without knowing everything, did you? Mark, please, this could ruin everything. I know, I said, walking toward the door. That's the point. As I stepped out, I heard her voice behind me, shaken, desperate. Where are you going? I paused, then looked over my shoulder. To see an old friend, who happens to own a local news channel. And then I left her standing there, holding her breath and realizing this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of her undoing. The city looked different when you saw it with open eyes. Not the tired, blurred vision I had during late commutes or half-hearted date nights. Now every light, every building felt like part of a story I'd ignored too long, one where I was the fool. But not anymore. I parked outside a quiet cafe downtown. Inside, seated at the back near the frosted glass window, was Lena. She looked up from her coffee and smiled. Soft, hesitant, the kind of smile someone gives when they're not sure if you're still angry. Mark, she said, rising to hug me. Lena used to work in PR at my old firm before she was quietly pushed out for being too vocal about the company's toxic culture. We'd always gotten along, and she was the one who warned me years ago. Jared isn't just ambitious, he's a shark pretending to be your friend. I need your help, I said, cutting straight to it as we sat. I figured, she replied. When you said it involved Jared, I brought my hard drive. I raised an eyebrow. I never deleted anything, she added with a smirk. Emails, reports, office gossip. I knew one day his fake smile would catch up to him. We spent hours piecing things together. Timelines, policy breaches, hidden favoritism, and expense reports with oddly frequent dinner charges under Clara's name. It wasn't just betrayal, it was calculated. Lena leaned forward, lowering her voice. You realize if you go public with this, it won't just ruin Jared. It'll destroy your wife too. I stared at the screen. Clara and Jared smiling together in a blurry office party photo from months ago, her hand on his chest. My stomach twisted. Then it's justice, I said. She nodded slowly, then handed me a USB drive. Everything's on here, but Mark, I looked up. Be careful. People like Jared, they don't just go down, they fight dirty. Later that night, I returned home. Clara was curled on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, eyes red from crying. I ignored her and walked past toward the study. Please, she whispered, don't do this. I turned slowly, keeping my expression unreadable. Tell me something, Clara. Was it always Jared? She hesitated. No, she said finally. There was someone before. After your dad died and you buried yourself in work. I felt invisible. It was like another punch in the gut. So this wasn't a mistake. This is just who you are now. She stood, voice shaking. I never wanted to hurt you. I was just lonely. And Jared, he made me feel seen. I nodded slowly, right before he stabbed me in the back. Then her voice dropped to something darker. If you release this stuff, you'll ruin both of us. You really want that? I didn't ruin this, Clara. You did. She looked at me, and for the first time, there was something cold in her expression. You think you're the only one who can play this game? What's that supposed to mean? She stepped closer. Jared's not just your ex-coworker. He's connected. His uncle's on the board. And if you go after him, they'll make your life hell. Legally, financially, maybe even physically. There it was. The real Clara. Not the sad, remorseful wife, but the woman who had planned this, benefited from it, and now wanted me to stay quiet. I didn't say anything. I just walked to the bedroom, closed the door. I just walked to the bedroom, closed the door, and stared at the USB drive in my palm. She thought fear would make me stop. She had no idea what I had planned next. The next morning, I left before Clara woke up. The house felt different now, more like a battlefield than a home. Every corner held memories that were now poisoned. Her laughter in the kitchen, late-night wine on the patio, all fake, all gone. I had one goal now, burn it all down but do it smart. My first stop was an old contact, Sophie, a quiet but brilliant journalist who owed me a favor from years ago. She worked with an independent outlet known for exposing corporate fraud. I walked into her office and dropped the USB on her desk. What's this? She asked. Career-ending truth. Sophie opened the files, scrolling through emails, transactions, internal memos. Jesus, Mark, this is deep. Fraud, manipulation, hush payments, HR's complicit too. They fired me to cover it up. Jared gets to keep his hands clean. Clara, she's part of it now. She leaned back, locking eyes with me. Are you ready for what comes after this? When this goes live, it won't just ruin Jared. It'll drag Clara too. Your name might get caught in the fire. I've got nothing left to lose. She nodded slowly. All right, give me 72 hours. We'll verify everything. And Mark? Yeah? This story, it's going to make noise. I left her office feeling lighter, like the first crack of dawn after a stormy night. But my peace was short-lived. That evening, I returned home to find Clara waiting, dressed, made up, eerily calm. A suitcase stood near the door. I'm leaving, she said. I didn't say a word. You're going to destroy everything, Mark, she continued. And for what? Pride? No, I said. For truth. She scoffed. You were always like this. The moral high ground. The good guy. But where were you when I was breaking inside? Don't twist this, Clara. You didn't cheat because I failed. You cheated because it was easier than facing your own emptiness. She blinked, like I'd hit a nerve. But then she straightened her shoulders. I'm going to Jared's. At least he won't turn me into a public scandal. I let out a cold laugh. You sure about that? Because when this story breaks, the whole world will know exactly what kind of man he is. And what kind of woman stood beside him. Her face changed. For the first time, real fear flickered in her eyes. You already leaked it? I didn't answer. She stepped closer, her voice suddenly trembling. Mark, please, don't do this. We can fix this. I looked at her hand reaching out toward mine, familiar and foreign all at once. You broke it, Clara, and I'm not here to fix it. I'm here to make sure you remember how it felt to lose everything. As she grabbed her suitcase and stormed out, I stood in the silence of our once perfect home. Not angry, not broken, just focused. 3 days later, the article dropped. It exploded across social media like wildfire. Corporate betrayal inside the collapse of Valortech's moral compass. Jared's smiling face was everywhere, attached to headlines dripping with scandal. Clara's name wasn't front and center, but people connected the dots fast. Comments flooded in. Anonymous accounts hinted at deeper dirt. My phone buzzed nonstop. Calls from former coworkers, lawyers, even Clara's mother. I ignored them all. But then one call stopped me cold. It was from Jared. Blocked number. I answered, expecting rage. Instead, his voice was calm, cold, deadly. You think you've won? He said. You're finished, I replied. Everyone knows who you are now. He chuckled. That was just one move, Mark. You forgot. We play chess, not checkers. Then he hung up. And just like that, I realized this war was far from over. A week passed. The world watched Valor Tech crumble from the inside out. The board dissolved, stock prices plummeted, investors pulled out in panic. Jared was suspended pending investigation. Clara, well, she disappeared from social media, cut off contact with everyone. Some said she'd flown out of the country with him. Others claimed she was hiding out in her sister's basement, avoiding reporters. And me? I didn't feel victorious, just hollow. Revenge, it turns out, doesn't patch the parts of you that broke. One rainy afternoon, I stood at the edge of a hill near the old cottage Clara and I once dreamed of buying. Back when love was simple, I was just about to turn back when I heard footsteps. I turned, and there she was, Clara, soaked, breathless, mascara streaked. You have to listen to me, she pleaded. Jared, he's going to drag you into this. I'm not scared of him. You should be, she whispered, voice shaking. He has evidence, emails that make it look like you were in on the cover-up. He's framing you, Mark. I stared at her, rage slowly simmering under my skin. So now you care. I didn't come here to fight, she said. I came because I know I messed up and because I need you to trust me one eye.